Hello, welcome to my channel. In this video I will be reviewing a Russian hybrid of African violets called DEO-Marzipan. It was hybridized by Olga Aksënkina. She is a hybridizer living in Moscow, Russia. Aksënkina has been hybridizing African violets since 2004, and she has developed many beautiful hybrids. All of them have a prefix DEO in their names, and the prefix stands for the daughters' names of Olga Aksënkina, Daria and Yelizaveta, and the last letter O stands for Olga's name. I purchased this plant on eBay from Bliss Street Violetry about 8 months ago in June of 2019. It started growing and had a couple of suckers, and I had rooted them separately, which was very fortunate because when my air conditioning system broke down here in the hot Los Angeles summer, the main plant had died, and so I was very happy that the suckers rooted, and this is one of them starting its first blooming cycle, and I'm very excited to share it with you today. DEO-Marzipan is a standard variety with dark green pointed leaves on a compact rosette. The leaves look very beautiful. They look velvety and they are rather stiff on touch, and they create a nice contrast with the cream colored full double blooms. At this point the rosette has reached about 9 inches, I believe. Let's measure it together. Yeah, it's about 9 inches across, and it might grow a little bit more as the plant matures. Right now it's growing in a 3-inch pot, and for now this is a sufficient size because the rule of thumb is the pot size should be 1/3 of the size of the rosette. So 9 inches rosette calls for a 3-inch pot. It's very important not to overpot African violets because overpotting can lead to root rot, especially when you wick water your plants. Keeping them on wicks always keeps the potting mix moist, and it's important that the roots of the plant fill the entire pot to avoid the root rot. I'll talk about wick watering separately in a future video. I'm planning to make videos for potting mix, for fertilizers, for the lights that I use, and probably also for wick watering, because I think this information is very helpful, and I found it helpful particularly as a newbie when I started growing African violets last year. So stay tuned for those videos. The flowers of DEO-Marzipan are most unusual in color. They are described as large, deep, velvety, creamy cream stars. In the original description in Russian on the local African violet forums, they are also described as clusters of light beige and pink double flowers in shape resembling marzipan roses. I have never quite seen the blooms similar in shape to the blooms of DEO-Marzipan of this variety. They're very unusual. There are more buds coming up. The way they lay on the rosette is very beautiful. They're kind of like scattered throughout the rosette. rather than standing tall above, even though the bloom stalks are quite powerful. Here you can see how thick the bloom stalk is, but because the bloom stalks are not tall and they're somewhat curved in a way that they just lay the flowers on top of the leaves. Even though personally I'm a little bit more biased towards the tall bloom stalks, and I like the look of the tall bloom stalks on many varieties, but I find this variety as well very beautiful, even though it doesn't have the tall bloom stalks. The color of the blooms varies from light green when they just first start opening the buds, the flower buds, and then they become beige, and then very, very pale cream pink, very light pink undertones, and then when they fade they become beige again, or kind of like they dry out to be a beige color. I find this variety spectacular in terms of color of the blooms and the color of the leaves. I highly recommend it to everyone who likes pale blooms or pastel bloom color scheme on the African violets. This is quite a spectacular hybrid. The flowers are not very large. Here they are in comparison to a dime coin, but because there's so many of them, they create a very beautiful look. They're about 1.5 inches in diameter. This variety is growing under a combination of LED and natural light on the east facing window, on the same setup that I had shown in the previous video for the Russian hybrid EK Morской Волк or EK Sea Wolf. It receives some of the east facing window light, but it also receives the LED light for about 10 to 11 hours a day at the color temperature of 5000 K and the intensity of 4100 lumen. It grows on a wick, and it receives 1/8 of a teaspoon constant feeding of this fertilizer per gallon of water. And this fertilizer is called Dina Grow liquid plant food, and it has a 7:9:5 ratio of nitrogen, phosphorus and potassium. The growing environment it has is 52% humidity, so I try to keep my humidity here in the 50s, and also the temperature is now 70 degrees Fahrenheit, and at night it drops to mid to upper 60s, and right now we have 70 degrees. So here it is again, DEO-Marzipan by Olga Aksënkina. I hope you enjoyed this variety. I find it truly special, and I will always treasure it in my collection. Thank you all so very much for watching. If you like this video and would like to stay tuned for my future videos, please subscribe, and I will see you again on the next episode of my African Violet reviews.